So we've got to the point where we've got all our text on. I'm just going to double check that I don't need anything else. So we've got the title, we've got a paragraph about the history of chocolate, we've got 2 other relevant and 3 suitable images. It must fit on one side of A4. Portrait is formatted in columns, we've done that. Spell checked, it's clear and easy to read, and it's fit for purpose. Fit for purpose means that you've basically done all the other things, plus you've applied some extra formatting or something like that. Enter your name, candidate number, and centre number in the footer. Oh, we haven't done that, so we'll do that quickly. I'm not too worried about it. There's space there. We're going to sort that out in a minute. So let's have a look. We need to add a footer. So to do that, we go to Insert. We've got a header and footer over here. And I'm going to click on footer. At this point, quite a lot of my learners suddenly scream because it looks like your work's disappeared. It hasn't. You've just switched to master page view. And in the exam, you would be putting in your name, your candidate number, and your centre number. For the training and stuff, we just need to put our name in. Once you've done that, just click on Close Master Page, and that will take you back. If for any reason you're in this view and you haven't got a Close Master Page, you can also go back to View, Normal. Okay, this text is outside of the blue box, but that's fine, that's allowed. So, okay, so we've got everything in there, but we've still got quite a lot of space. So we're going to have to do a bit of tweaking here. So we're going to need to basically make these text boxes a bit bigger, I think, change the text size. So I'm going to move this one down a bit, and I think I started with 12, so I'm going to try bumping this up to 14. I'm going to move this down here, select all my text, and I'm just going to bump it up one size. That should make that 14. I may need to make my text box a little bit bigger. There we go. I'll make it a little bit bigger because I've still got to get the picture in as well. So it's not working. So sometimes you'll get this where you put a picture in and it just doesn't work. So just try a different corner. And incidentally, you can move these around just by using your arrow keys as well. You don't need to use the mouse. If you just tap the up, down, left, right arrow keys, it will just nudge it like that. So we're going to just leave it like that, I think. Okay. I would say I could try over here or something. What I tend not to do is use it down at the bottom because it tends not to look good. And sometimes you'll get this as well, where it really stretches the word out. You can either try putting the picture somewhere else or don't worry too much about it, to be honest with you. You see it in newspapers all the time, that sort of thing. So there we are, we've got that there. Pictures there. And I'm now using 14 for my text and 16 for my header. So let's drag this down a bit there. I'm going to leave a bit of a gap there. Click on that, that'll increase everything by one size. And I can see that actually I made that text box a little bit big, so let's move that down. There we go. And let's see what we've got here. So I'll move my picture down a bit. And sometimes you have to fiddle around with this, so let's see what we've got here, how much space we've got to play with. So I think 14 might be a bit too big as it happens. So I'm going to go through the whole process again. But this time I'm going to actually just change the text. Let me undo that so I can see my text box again. I'm going to just select the text and leave the header alone this time. And I'm going to go for 13. I'm going to do that by clicking in the box, type in 13 and press enter. And I think that might give me a better size to work with. So I could just about squeeze that in there. But when I reduce these down to 13, you'll see that it fits much better. So what I don't want is any of my text boxes and things overlapping. So a little bit of tweaking. Okay, and we'll go for this one. So just the text, change it to 13. Okay, so what I'm looking at now is, let me take that off. So I can see that looks quite balanced. The gaps between the paragraphs are roughly the same. There's no massive differences. There's not loads of areas of white space or blank stuff. I have got this gap between here and here, and here and here. And what I'm going to do is also is another thing. One, to hide some of that space, but secondly, when you're reading, if you get to here, it's quite natural to go brown beans and then start reading this bit, because with columns you have two options. They could either be read down that way, or each of these could be read separately. What I want to do is I want to make sure that it's read the way I want to do it. And what we use to do that is we use divider lines. So I'm going to add a line in here by going to Insert, Shapes, and I'm just going to use a basic line. I'm not going to draw it right from the board. I'm just going to come in just a little bit. And as I start drawing that, you'll see that it just goes whatever angle you're at. So it's really hard to get dead straight or dead level. To make it snap so that it goes level, just hold down the Shift key and you'll see that you can only do certain angles then. It makes it easier to lock it in place. So we're going to do that and leave roughly the same gap on the other end there. So it looks roughly like that. And now I've got that line, I can use my Control Shift keys to just click and drag that down. And I know it's going to stay lined up. And I might want to put one up at the top there, maybe, I don't know, just up there. And then this June. Now I could try and get this July issue to actually sit in the middle of the page, but an easy way of doing that is just stretch it across the width of the page, so it's lined up on both sides. There we go. And then just a line in the middle. So there's your document. Final double check of the question. Have we done everything? We know we've done the 3 paragraphs and we've put pictures in each of them. We've used relevant text. We've got the title in. It's one side of A4 portrait. It's formatted in columns. It's spell checked. It's clear and easy to read, and it's fit for purpose. We've entered our name. So that's that completed. Be careful, because there's also, in this one for instance, there's a section B. Sometimes it's section B that asks you to do something else. So always make sure. But what it does say at the end here is it says, save the newsletter with a meaningful file name. So I'm going to save that with a meaningful file name. I'm going to say File, Save As, and I'm going to call it, what do we call it? We'll call it So I would call that something like Tom Pay Chocolates newsletter, for instance. Just make sure you've got usually the name of the organisation plus what the document is, whether it's a newsletter or information sheet or anything like that. You may need or be asked to how you can share a file, for instance, a Office file like an Excel file, a publisher document or PowerPoint document, how you can share that and not allow people to edit it. There are ways of doing that by setting file permissions or sharing links to cloud services that are read-only. One really good way to do that, and a good answer in the exam, is to export it as a PDF. And for instance, this one, you might want to be able to just send out to people so they can print it, but they can't edit it. To do that, go to File, Export, and select Create PDF XPS. When you do that, we're going to call it Publication 1 PDF, and we're going to save it into my WFH file, and that will open automatically. And you can see we've now got a PDF file. Says it up there, and I can't edit that. So I also know whichever printer I print it out on, it'll look the same. So that's quite a useful little tip. There are different types of documents you normally have to do, but generally a newsletter info sheet, most of the level 2 ones will be like that. There are occasionally they'll ask you to do a leaflet. I can just create a new document here, and they may ask you to do it as a A4 portrait, A4 landscape, and they'll say something like someone's created the front and back page of the leaflet. They want you to do the inside of the leaflet. They want 2 pages on an A4 landscape sheet. So what that means in English remember with the page design guides we used, if I add that in, get rid of these because I don't want those. I've now got effectively 2 pages. One page there, one page there. And imagine this bit is where the fold would be, or the staples or whatever. So I could then treat this as a separate page. I could do my do a text box here for my tile. Make it best fit and do that. Now I've got my tile. I might give it a fill. Might do something like that as my tile. I should say as well, you can, depending on the sheet, you can, for your tile, you can use a bit more stylized. So you could use one of these sort of fonts for your tile, but your text should always be serif fonts. So I might go, where am I? Book antique, I say, something like that. And then I would put my text box in again. And when I said about creating your text boxes, paragraphs, it goes the width of the page rather than the whole sheet. So we could put one text box in there, one there, and so on throughout the document. Just bear in mind, if you're doing the front and back, the front will be on this side, because when it's folded, that will be the front. If you're not sure, just get a piece of A4 paper or a piece of paper, fold it in half, write front and back on it, and then lay it down flat, and you'll be able to see. Another little tip is to go back to my document. If you're halfway through doing this document and you think, oh, I don't like it, I want to make some changes to it, or you can't get your text to fit, when I adjusted all my text, there's nothing stopping you right-clicking, going insert duplicate page, and then making all your changes here. You might say, well, I don't like that typeface or the font. I'm going to change my font, see how it looks with a different thing. But the point of doing that is you can change that one without affecting your original. So when you're doing layout, if you get it, you're okay with it, but you can't quite get it to fit, and you want to make some changes, just duplicate it, make your changes. When you're happy with them, you can get rid of the original. If you're not happy with them, you just get rid of the copy. Just make sure you don't keep 2 copies when you save your file. Also, when you're first creating your document, don't spend too much time getting this inch perfect or millimeter perfect, because like we saw on this one, you may have to go back and adjust your font sizes. When you get to the end, you realize you haven't got enough space, or you've got too much space. It's usually easier as well to start with a smaller type font, so start with 12 and go up to 14 rather than starting with 14. All of these questions, you can get all the text in. You may need to be creative. If you need to create a table in Publisher, you can either insert table, do it that way. So I might want a 3x2 table, for example. So I want that as my table. You can use these formatting options over here. If it's got a title, use one with a header there, or you might want to use I don't know, one of these ones maybe. There's a whole raft of them there. So I might want to format like that. You can just type in and change the borders, for instance, under design. The other thing you can do is you could actually create your table in Word if you're more comfortable doing that, or even create a table in Excel, copy and paste it in, and it will come in that way.